Hundreds of protesters demanding justice for George Floyd have marched through the US city of Minneapolis on the eve of the trial of a white policeman charged with his murder. Mr. Floyd died in May last year after he was pinned down by the neck for more than 8 minutes. Swiss voters have approved a ban on facial coverings in public, such as burqas and niqabs worn by Muslim women. Critics have called the ban absurd, pointing out that only a handful of Muslims in Switzerland actually wear face coverings. Barcelona Football Club has elected Joan Laporta as its new president. The lawyer and former politician, who was previously in the post between 2003 and 2010, won a convincing majority from club members desperate for a return to trophy-winning days. The first papal visit to Iraq is drawing to a close as the pontiff prepares to fly out of the country. Pope Francis spent his last full day visiting parts of Iraq once held by militants from the self-styled Islamic State. The pontiff then celebrated Mass at a football stadium in Erbil, that's the capital of Iraq's Kurdistan region.
Let's have a look at some of the papers on this Monday morning. Probably you can gather there's only one story on the front page this morning. There's the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's interview with Oprah Winfrey. The Sun focuses on Meghan's revelation that she battled suicidal thoughts before deciding to leave the UK.
The Mirror says the Duchess blew the lid off her royal life. That's how they describe it, leading on her comments about alleged concerns over the colour of her son's skin.
The Express picks out Meghan's claim that the Duchess of Cambridge made her cry in the run-up to her wedding.
The interview, of course, as well as getting a lot of attention from US newspapers. The New York Times described it as a raw look behind palace doors and says Meghan suffered what it calls the cruel loss of her freedom and identity when she became part of the royal family.
I've got one little story for you here, Louise, about muddy spuds. I didn't know this. Apparently, back in the 1970s, in supermarkets, potatoes were covered in mud when you bought them.
I do remember the 1970s now,
OK,
yes.
all right. Anyway, and the reason that happened was...
You had to wash them, yeah.
Yeah, you had to wash them, and also it kept their shelf life a little bit longer because it kept the light out. And Tesco's going back to muddy spuds in an attempt to try and make sure the food lasts a little bit longer. It can double the shelf life of potatoes to leave them muddy. They're going to test it out. A waste action group has encouraged them to do this. They say they will see how customers feel before possibly rolling it out across far more stores. So there you go. If you spot some muddy spuds in Tesco's, that's why.